Private Eye, 6 decades of jokes and journalism.
Hello again. We're celebrating the 60th birthday of Private Eye, the nation's first, most successful, long-lasting and indeed only fortnightly satirical magazine, with a look back through the mag's coverage of the big events of the past 6 decades. And all 60 years are featured in this, the new book we published to celebrate our anniversary. It's called The 60 Yearbook. And here's its editor, Adam Macqueen, to tell us a bit about the brave new world of the 1990s. But quickly, Adam, 60 seconds.
Okay, so John Major, hurrah, with his Homes hotline and his citizens charter and his government collapsing into this morass of corruption and incompetence and extramarital nagging and bribes in brown envelopes. At which point we should probably point out that actually it was the Eye that first raised some questions about the money that Neil Hamilton was receiving from the lobbyist Ian Greer way back in 1984. But that's another story. That kind of came out in the 1990s. So also in the Eye in the 1990s, you get a new medical columnist, MD, aka Dr. Phil Hammond, and he breaks the story of the Bristol Heart Surgery scandal, which eventually ends up with a huge public inquiry into the unnecessary deaths of children. You get Paul Foote revealing lots and lots of details about how crooked the government minister Jonathan Aiken was, very, before he sued us and then committed perjury and got sent to prison, You get the Birmingham 6, the Bridgewater 4, who Paul Foote had been campaigning on behalf of for decades. They get the convictions overturned. And you also get Paul revealing all sorts of sordid details behind the murder of Stephen Lawrence and the failings of the police investigation. And then towards the end of the decade, you get Tony Blair arriving and Princess Diana dying and everyone going a bit mad for a few weeks after that. And the Eye being hoiked off shelves in shops in protest of our coverage of Princess Diana, and more letters of complaint and subscription cancellations than we've ever had for any edition before, which actually is quite an achievement.
The 1990s began with the release of Nelson Mandela from prison after 26 years. Although with apartheid still imposed, not everyone in his country was delighted about it.
This is a black day for South Africa.
That there was Harry Enfield, who joins us to perform today, along with Jan Ravens and Lewis Macleod. The decade kicked off, as would become traditional, with a war against Iraq. And that was particularly awkward for the various British businessmen who turned out to have been selling weapons to Saddam Hussein and been encouraged to do so by the British government. Private Eye proprietor Lord Nome turned out to be amongst them.
Let me state categorically that my firm, Nome International Scientific, Technical and Electronic, but definitely not military supplies, PLC, has nothing to hide. The export of a number of giant metal biros to Iraq in 1988 was passed by both the DTI and the minister responsible, Mr. Alan Shark, MD, with the words, "Biros, that's a good one." The biros, hollowed metal tubes 700 feet long with threaded barrels for the easy insertion of refills and a computer-launched system for the blue ink, are one of Nome International's standard lines. And I was personally told by the Iraqi education minister, General Madman Insane, that the biros would be used as educational aids in underdeveloped Kurdish-controlled villages.
John Major, meanwhile, kept his government firmly laser-focused on the issues that really matter, as revealed in the secret diary that he obligingly kept for Private Eye.
This is the biggest week I have had since I became Prime Minister. Oh yes, I will finally unveil my Citizens' Charter, which everyone has been looking forward to for many months. While Norman and I were eating our golden Graham Taylors this morning, I was amused to see a lot of articles in the newspapers saying that the Charter had been watered down, no doubt inspired by the Labour Party. Oh no. In my estimation, it has been not inconsiderably toughened up, and has more teeth than anything the government managed to do under Mrs. Thatcher. For instance, there is a whole new section laying down that in future all civil servants will have to wear name tags saying who they are. And when they answer the telephone to members of the public, they will have to say, "Have a nice day." I have lots of other brilliant ideas for my charter too. For instance, one of the real menaces of the modern world is when you have a ballpoint pen in your pocket and it starts to leak, marking your shirt and sometimes your vest, if it is winter time. Under my charter, you would be entitled to recover the cost of the dry cleaning from the manufacturers. Unfortunately, another minister resigned to spend more time with his family today. I have already filled in my New Year at-a-glance planner, and it is not inconsiderably annoying to have to keep putting in new government vacancies to fill. This is the third this week. In this case, it is a substantial pity, as the minister said he had done nothing wrong. If everyone resigned when they had done nothing wrong, I would have very few people left in the government. Oh, yes.
The Eye was also following the ins and outs of the royal family, most of whom were divorcing each other in the early 1990s. At the end of 1995, Princess Diana gave an interview to Martin Bashir on Panorama. 2 years later, Princess Diana died in a car crash in Paris on the day before the Eye went to press. That gave us 24 hours to gauge the mood of the nation, and it's probably fair to say that not everyone appreciated our coverage of the reaction to her death, and in particular, our media to blame front cover.
The papers are a disgrace.
Yes, I couldn't get one anywhere.
Or mine. It's got a picture of the car.
But while the Eye was becoming incredibly unpopular, someone else, and 24 years on, this seems almost as strange, was proving to be incredibly popular, with scandals hardly seeming to touch him. Yes, it's the Revd Blair, the vicar of St Albans.
Look, this isn't easy for me, but I know that I owe everyone in the parish a really heartfelt and sincere apology. I'm really sorry for the fact that so many people seem to have misunderstood what I was trying to do when I put a tobacco advert in the last issue of the Parish News. I'm really sorry if some of you thought that just because I've always said that I wouldn't take adverts for cigarettes in the newsletter, the fact that I did meant that in some way I've gone back on my word. O ye of little faith, Mark, chapter 7, verse 6. What I'm most sorry about is that some really malicious people have tried to make out that my decision might have been connected to the fact that Mr. Eccleston, who has the tobacco kiosk in the garage, contributed £150 to the fund for restoring the church roof. Look, I want to make it clear that I am a completely honest, straight guy. Luke, chapter 21, verse 13. You know this. I'm the same vicar now as I was when I first walked into St Albans 6 months ago. I'm sorry if anyone has made the mistake of thinking otherwise. But as we say in church every Sunday, forgive us our failings as we forgive those who haven't been nice to us. Book of Common Blair. I've certainly forgiven all of you for your lack of trust over the past week or two.
So not only the decade, but the entire millennium drew to a close, and the nation, or to be more precise, hardly any of them, went to celebrate in a big tent in Greenwich.
Is this the arse or the elbow?
I'm queuing to see the queues.
Let me through. I'm an idiot.
Join us in the 21st century, same time tomorrow.
Private Eye, 6 decades of jokes and journalism. On sale now.